over 50 years, the Dallas Cowboys star has been the hallmark for a franchise of champions. It's stamped on 5 Super Bowl trophies and the hearts of fans around the world.
The Dallas Cowboys are the champions of the National Football League.
The star rose to prominence on the helmets of the men who worn it. A host of heroes unmatched in the NFL.
We're the Dallas Cowboys! Let's act like the Dallas Cowboys today!
Let's play together all day long. Let's go.
Let's go, Big D!
These Cowboys heroes have shaped a history as distinguished as that lone blue star. From the earliest days of Cowboys lore to the past few seasons, Dallas has produced some of football's most unforgettable figures.
Wing zig out. We're cutting them. We're going to whip them. We're going to whip them.
What I do? Make plays! Nothing but make plays, baby!
There's only one NFL rushing champion, and there's only one Emmitt Smith. Staubach hit Pearson on a 50-yard touchdown. Would you believe it?
Cody Dorsett is in the record books. 99 yards.
12 Hall of Famers and countless characters. To recall every Dallas legend would take enough film to fill the new Cowboys Stadium. So here are just some of the Cowboys' most memorable heroes. Though he didn't sport the star, the first Cowboys hero left his own mark on the franchise and the way the game is played.
Coach Landry is the architect of the entire organization. The Dallas Cowboy organization isn't what it is today without Coach Landry there from the start.
Go! Dallas Cowboys!
For 29 years, Thomas Wade Landry was the only head coach Dallas knew. But before he was a Cowboys hero, he was a war hero. Second Lieutenant Landry flew 30 missions over World War II, including a crash after his bomber ran out of fuel. His coaching career took off as defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. When the NFL expanded to Dallas in 1960, team president Tex Schramm lured Landry from New York to become the first head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
And here come the Cowboys, made up of players picked from each of the other 12 teams in the National Football League.
We didn't have any football players. And then when we went to the owners, they said, well, we'll give you 3 players off each team. So we got all the bad players. So we were a team that was pretty inept at that time, you might say.
In just 5 years, Landry took a cobbled-together winless team and made them one of the NFL's most consistent winners.
The Cowboys attack against the Steelers. Number 14, Eddie LeBaron, fades and hits Jim Doran, number 83. Doran runs away from the Steelers secondary as he goes 75 yards for the first Dallas touchdown of the year.
Landry was an X's and O's whiz, an innovator ahead of his time.
The Y man's breaking outside. See, there's no use to send him out.
Yeah.
Just tell him to slow block, see?
Right.
And that way you have no key for hunting him.
Credited with creating the 4-3 defense and the multiple offense, Landry had an uncanny understanding of both sides of the ball.
He would go from the defensive room, putting together a defensive game plan, lecturing it to his defensive squad. Go to the next room, put together the offensive game plan, and lecture it in. So he was the one unique man of our time that coached both phases of the game.
No, yeah, you can use them pretty much in here. Yeah, you can use them.
So when you talk about a fully dimensional football coach, it was Tom Landry above anyone else who's ever coached the game.
His acute focus on execution created an icy facade, but Landry was beloved by his players.
Of course, the nuts and bolts of the Dallas Cowboys is a man that wears a funny hat on the sidelines.
Landry watched 5 straight successful seasons end with painful playoff losses, and the Cowboys were dubbed next year's champions.
And the Green Bay Packers are going to be
don't think I would enjoy my profession if I knew I was always a winner. I think it's really the chase that's important. It's the challenge that you're after, much more than the winning. Because I think that only through defeat is character built.
Landry's chase finally concluded with victory in Super Bowl VI. Dallas dismantled the Dolphins 24-3 for the Cowboys' first world title.
At the 3, pitch out to Thomas. Dwayne cuts inside the 5 with a throw and a touchdown for Dwayne Thomas. Long time.
Long time.
Long time.
What do you think, Coach?
I think it's pretty nice.
Congratulations. Really happy.
Boy, it feels, you can't imagine how it feels, because you never suffered with us like we've suffered, in those losses in the last 4 years. It's a great reward for these fellows who work so hard to get there.
Landry's success can be measured by 20 straight winning seasons, 5 Super Bowl berths, and a second Lombardi Trophy in 1977. But one of Landry's greatest achievements was choosing Bob Lilly with the Cowboys' first ever draft pick. Bob Lilly was a consensus All-American defensive end at TCU, but early in his pro career, he looked like an all-out bust.
Bob, when he came off of TCU's campus, I put him at left end where he played for TCU. He was terrible. I mean, he didn't get anything done. And so I moved him into the middle. And then he became a dominant player.
Bob Lilly dominated games. He changed games. He was unblockable.
I don't know of any other player where we were watching film and his own teammates would be oohing and aahing with his quickness and his strength. He was something special. I mean, he was the very best defensive lineman in the National Football League.
He never gave up on a play, and that's what separates the guys that live in Canton and the guys that played this game.
I thought Bob Lilly was the greatest defensive lineman I ever saw.
Lilly was known as Mr. Cowboy, leader of the Doomsday Defense. But in the late 1960s and early 70s, when the Cowboys struggled to win a championship, the team was more often labeled bridesmaids of the NFL.
But we had a lot of tags. Can't win the big one. Next year's champions. It sort of started being a part of us to lose a big game.
Lilly's frustration culminated against Baltimore in Super Bowl V.
They say the Cowboys cannot win the big one. Dallas should have been well ahead.
As soon as he kicked the field goal, I threw my helmet 50 yards, which I'm ashamed of, but I did. And the Baltimore Colt rookie, and I don't know his name, brought my helmet back over to me and said, "Here's your helmet, Mr. Lilly." And I said, "Thank you, son." And I kind of felt bad. I felt about that tall.
A year later, Lilly came up large in Super Bowl VI with the signature play in the biggest win of his career.
Long count by Grigsby, goes back to pass. Looking, takes, back to the 20-yard line. Still takes, back to the 15. Still being chased to the 10. He's got him. And Bob Lilly puts the Giants on the 5. What a chase by Bob Lilly.
We had to struggle for so long. 11 years of my life, I struggled with all my teammates, and we finally won it, and it was just like being free. I don't know, I've never felt that way before, that you just felt like you could pretty near fly. That cigar has a story. I had a partner, and he gave me a Havana cigar made in Cuba the year before to take down to play Baltimore, and I didn't get to use it. So I brought it home, put it in the freezer. And I took it back down to New Orleans when we played the Dolphins, and it was just about to come apart. I barely got it lit. You couldn't spend $100 million and buy that feeling. No way.
Mr. Cowboy retired as one of the most decorated players in NFL history. 11 Pro Bowls, 7 All-Pro seasons, and 1 elusive Super Bowl ring. Bob Lilly was the Cowboys' first Hall of Famer. But Bullet Bob Hayes was the NFL's first speed demon. Hayes introduced himself to the world in the 1964 Olympics. He brought home 2 gold medals and tied the world record in the 100-meter sprint. But coming out of college, some skeptics doubted Hayes' football ability. like Otto Graham, coach of the 1965 College All-Stars.
Well, we was in College All-Star camp. Quarterback Craig Morton, he throwing the ball so hard that he split my fingers, and I had it wrapped. And it was real sensitive, and I dropped a couple of passes. And Otto Graham made an issue out of it. He said I had 9-1 speed and 12 flat hands. Otto Graham became head football coach with the Washington Redskins. We were playing Dallas. I caught 2 touchdowns, and I said, how do you like these 12 flat hands and 9-1 speed now?
Many great track names have sought football fame, but Bob Hayes is a football player who just happens to be the world's fastest living human.
Being the first world record holder that made it in football, it was not so much pressure, because more pressure I had was in the Olympics. I'm running against everybody around the world. In football, I'm just playing against Americans only.
What we were looking for at that time is to separate ourselves from the rest of the pack, and the thing that made us separate is the speed of a Bobby Hayes. Bobby brought a trump card to the game in that, hey, you better be aware that that guy out there is different.
His speed, he was like in another dimension. He never was caught from behind. In today's game, he'd still be the fastest person on the field.
Your defensive back would say, I can't cover Hayes. I can't cover it. You know that. You know, if you call a blitz, I'm finished.
Hayes was All-Pro 4 times, and his 71 touchdown receptions remain a Cowboys record. But his contribution to pro football is immeasurable.
Bob Hayes had a huge impact on the way the game was played in the 60s. As a matter of fact, the way it's played today. He didn't redefine a position. He changed an entire game.
When Bob came into the league, everybody was playing man-to-man, and Bob would just run by people. Then the defenses got smart. They started playing the zone defense and trying to contain Bob that way.
All that started with Bob Hayes, and that's how dangerous he was.
Despite his revolutionary career, off-field issues after football contributed to lack of consideration for the Hall of Fame.
In his last days, he used to talk about the Hall of Fame because this was something he always dreamed about and always talked about and always wanted to be a part of, but he never got a chance to. It hurts because he shouldn't have been here to witness the special occasion, but unfortunately he didn't make it to see it. We had left a space for him, so whenever he get into the Hall of Fame, because we knew one day that he was going to get in.
After an almost 30-year wait, Hayes was posthumously inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2009. Most notably, Bullet Bob Hayes is still the only man in history to have an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring. In 1977, the Doomsday Defense was only in its second incarnation. Dallas fans enjoyed the first edition, led by Bob Lilly, until his retirement in 1974. The standard was high, and soon, new defenders took over in Dallas and earned the Doomsday II moniker quickly. Their leader was Randy White.
For me, coaching against him twice a year for 7 years might be the finest defensive player that I ever had coached against.
Randy White was ridiculous. One of the most feared defensive tackles in the history of the National Football League.
Randy White displayed a ferocity which stemmed from his approach to the game.
As the game progresses, you fall into a pattern. You see certain things that you'll be able to do. My attitude was defeat the guy in front of me and get the guy with the ball.
But instead of playing defensive end, where he played in college, White was switched to another position as a rookie.
They spent 2 years trying to make him a middle linebacker.
Randy White could not backpedal. I don't think his body goes backwards. And as such, he wasn't a very good linebacker at all. Once the Cowboys decided that isn't his game, let's put him on the defensive line. He's a terrific player.
Randy is a down lineman.
You know, he's not a guy that's comfortable playing standing up. He likes to get down in a 4-point stance and get after people.
Randy White, you talk about a guy who was devastating.
Randy White was a bagger. And if I weren't on television, I'd use a different term.
Just a stone-cold nut.
On game day, this meek, humble person turned into a monster.
We call Randy White the manster around here. Half man, half monster.
He was the manster.
His name is Randy White. His nickname, Manster. If offensive guards could peer into his eyes and read his mind, they would all quit the game, for no one man can keep number 54 from his appointed rounds. White is a stunning combination of brute strength and speed. His power finalizes a play, while his quickness starts it all in motion.
I've never been afraid of anything, and Randy White scared me.
He's one of those guys, you know, if you had to pick somebody to go down the dark alley with, he'd be probably the first guy I would say, yeah, let's get it on. Let's go.
I remember a play in Dallas. Scott Fitzke caught a pass across the middle, running for a touchdown. You know who caught him from behind? Randy White. Dragged him down short of the goal line. Incredible, incredible play. A defensive lineman catching a wide receiver from behind.
And his competitiveness was off the charts. He was physically gifted, but there were more physically gifted guys in the National Football League than him. But I don't know that there was anybody more driven on a defensive line than Randy White in the last 40 years.
Defensive end Harvey Martin silenced a lot of opponents alongside White. Whenever the manster would attract more attention, as many as 3 blockers at once, opponents would pay for ignoring number 79. But he had a softer side when he wasn't Martinizing opposing quarterbacks.
This is beautiful Harvey Martin coming to you on a pretty windy day here in a brisk, cold Dallas, Texas. And I guess you wonder why I call it the beautiful Harvey Martin show today.
We couldn't figure out why it was called Beautiful Harvey Martin, because Harvey wasn't the greatest looking guy in the world.
Perhaps Martin was talking about inner beauty. Besides, on the field he was too mean Martin, a hide to his beautiful Jekyll.
I just knew that if we went out and we were the #1 defense in the league and shut them down, we would win the ball game. We had this saying, if you can't score, you can't win. And that was our approach.
Sharing sacks with Ed Too Tall Jones, Too Mean still was hungry for more in the playoffs.
I was in my 3rd year in football, 1975, and we were a wild card team. And it was sort of like all the Christmases I've ever had in my life put into one.
2 years after their loss in Super Bowl X,
New Orleans, here we come.
the Cowboys were playing for the championship again.
And I must say, I became hooked on Super Bowls. I mean, we were just like kids in a candy store. We were babies. We had no idea we'd be there, and we were there, and the whole city just opened up to us, and it was something that I never wanted to forget.
In Super Bowl XII, the Doomsday II defense held Denver scoreless in the first half, thanks largely to their 2 leaders.
The thing that stood out the most was Randy and I's intensity. I mean, there was nobody in the whole NFL could have blocked either Randy or myself that Sunday.
Martin and White sniffed out almost every play, but had no idea they were about to make history.
I think the memory that I remember the most is standing on the sideline, because I didn't think about making most valuable player. I didn't care about that. I figured that's for quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs. I just wanted to win the ball game. And I was standing on the sideline, and believe it or not, Randy and I were standing next to each other. And I'll never forget the announcer coming across on the loudspeakers and saying, for the first time in history, we have 2 most valuable players, Harvey Martin and Randy White. And I just almost fainted. It was something it was a gift from God.
With a history-making performance, the 2 heroes of Super Bowl XII had made Dallas #1. Before the 1992 season, owner Jerry Jones needed new leadership on the defensive line, so he traded for veteran Charles Haley.
Charles came into our team already having 2 Super Bowls. That was something that we couldn't even imagine what a Super Bowl was like.
Charles Haley really made the difference for our football team in raising the expectation for all of us of what it took to be a champion.
Haley taught the team's emerging leaders how to win, but Haley also had them watching their backs.
All right, Charles, that's your play all the way now.
Psycho problems.
He's crazy.
Charles is crazy for real, you know?
Hey, what you ought to do, you ought to call timeout. Don't go to neither side. I go in the middle of the damn field. Get down on both knees and Lord help me, please. What a dog him. What to use him as a piss boy.
The great thing about Charles Haley was that it didn't matter who you were. He was going to ride you pretty hard.
A personality like Haley's can either be disruptive or productive. The Cowboys took Haley's needling in stride and used it as motivation.
And God forbid you showed any sign of weakness, because he was going to be on you for the rest of the season.
Head coach Jimmy Johnson saw virtually no weaknesses in Haley's pass rushing. In 4 seasons in Dallas, Haley amassed 33 sacks. In the Cowboys' 33rd NFL season, he helped them collect a Super Bowl championship.
Let's go, dude, let's go!
Early in Super Bowl 27, Haley saw a clear path to Bills quarterback Jim Kelly, and as a result, gave Dallas all the momentum it needed. Haley's sack and forced fumble led to the Cowboys' second score in 15 seconds, the fastest pair of touchdowns in Super Bowl history. In Super Bowl 28, the 5-time Pro Bowler again stopped Kelly in a tie game, and the Cowboys went on to their second straight title. The following season, Haley considered retirement after the Cowboys lost to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. But he came back in 1995, led the team in sacks, and back to the Super Bowl. Haley and his line mates set the tone early. The veteran's heroic effort helped him become the first and only NFL player to ever win 5 Super Bowl championships in his career. Today's Cowboys have yet another star hunting quarterbacks. DeMarcus Ware wears Haley's number 94, but is steadily making it his own.
Feel real loose, damn. Loose as a goose, baby. You feel loose? Hey, what that Romo mean on the back? What's that mean? Superman. Oh! You know, you got to be the aggressor on defense. You got to be, get out of my face type guy. We get them the third down, 3rd and long, but they convert still. We got to get it off the field. When you go inside, go straight. Yeah. If you come in, you see what I'm saying? Got a center fanning out to you, and right when they see you go inside, the guard just takes off to me. So you just go straight and you'll be a straight rush by yourself.
And it's 3rd down and 17. Pressure Ware. Sack. That was more than pressure. That's one of the best blitzes we've seen in a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm a hunter. I want to go hit. And I don't like to be hit. Like, if somebody hit me, I can't take it. But I can go hit somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's different. Hey, Matt, you good?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right, yeah. I just got deflated.
Yeah.
I got deflated.
All right.
In his first 5 seasons in Dallas, Ware emerged as one of the NFL's best defenders. Much of that is owed to the intensity he brings to every game.
On the field, it's all about, you got my back, you got my back, let's go get them. There's no love at all. Take all that frustration out on the other guys on the opposing side.
The NFL will likely pay for the Pro Bowler's focus and persistence on every single snap for years to come.
Boy, and DeMarcus Ware, he wasn't going for a sack or just a tackle. He was clearly, he saw that ball, boy, and that right arm came up like a windmill, and it came down right on the ball and the hand of Donovan McNabb, and what a play by Ware.
Been like the defensive MVP on the team, meaning team-wise. When guys look up to you on the defense and they nominate you for that and, vote for you for that, they see you as a leader on the team, defensively, and they look up to you, so that puts more pressure on yourself to go out there and do good and be the leader that they want you to be.
Hailing from Mount Vernon, Texas, Don Meredith was a local legend as star quarterback at SMU. After arriving in Dallas in 1960, he became the first face and voice of the expansion Cowboys.
Just settle down.
Now I want you to listen to me, and listen good, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball, we're going to pass the ball, we're going right down this field, and we're going to score.
When the Cowboys were emerging, you had Tom Landry, who was kind of that stoic, dignified image of the organization that's coming up. So when Dandy Don came along, it was a new look. It was kind of the fun, freewheeling quarterback that had confidence and ability.
Let's go, come on.
A new, fresh face for the organization.
But Meredith was fresh meat for NFL defenses.
He played at a time when we were a sorry team, and he got killed.
What happened? Oh, man, well, he didn't make a route. Well, I know it. I got a throw back there after a while.
Don Meredith was the toughest quarterback that I've ever seen. Now, you talk about people being hurt and overcoming it and playing the games. Don Meredith stood alone in that position as a quarterback.
Once Bob Hayes came here and Lance Rensel came here, Don Meredith came into his own as a quarterback.
Meredith led Dallas to its first ever playoff victory. But when the Cowboys failed to win a championship after 3 straight postseason appearances, he went from bell cow to scapegoat.
When we played Cleveland in '68, Meredith got out of the hospital with a broken rib, punctured lung, and pneumonia, and then came home and took a lot of abuse about his performance.
After we had lost badly to Cleveland, we went into this restaurant and somebody noticed Don and I, and they started booing him. And the people sat there in this restaurant and stood up and booed him until we left.
Oh, it hurts to get booed, because I think it hurts when you try to do something real well.
And if your performance hasn't been received well, you're disappointed. The most disappointing thing is that in your heart, you did the best you could. You did the very best that you could. And then whammo, they really let you have it.
That, as much as anything else, is one of the things that drove him away from the game. There's never been a guy who has been more mistreated by the fans than Don Meredith was. Don Meredith was a great quarterback.
He wasn't just one of the best quarterbacks of his time. Dandy Don was one of the loosest, fun-loving characters in NFL history.
Let's finish this and then go out and knock down a couple of cold ones and meet something pretty.
We were flying out of New York. We'd just beaten New York. Big snowstorm just blew in. And so we're taking off, and there's ice everywhere up there. And all of a sudden, we heard a boom. It was like an engine backfired or something. And so we started a steep bank over the ocean. We want to go out and dump our gasoline. Man, everybody knew we were going to crash. Well, and everybody's in a panic, and I'm sitting on the aisle seat, and Meredith's sitting right over next to me. And I look over at him. Man, he's cool. He's smoking a cigar, and he's got him a drink. And he says, well, all I know is it's been a good one.
The cool charisma that fueled his off-field persona also made Meredith a born leader.
He always had his finger on the pulse of the team, on everybody. From the offense to the defense, the star player to the last guy on the bench. He cared about everybody.
Get your head up. Hear me? You're worried about something, so don't do it. You hear me? Yeah. Okay.
I believe part of it was just pure, sheer animal cunning, knowing that a team didn't win unless you did that.
Hey, you feel better, baby? Yeah. All right, that's good. Nice move, Lance. Oh, that's smooth. That was smooth.
Meredith's legacy is of a quarterback who transformed the Cowboys from expansion team to America's team.
What that franchise went through from inception as an expansion team to get to where they were in the early 70s and what they became, I'm not sure you get to Staubach if you don't have Meredith.
The quarterback position in Dallas was best defined by Roger Staubach. Staubach's heroics were honed at the Naval Academy, where he won the Heisman Trophy. The Cowboys drafted him in 1964, but before he could serve in Dallas, he had to serve in Vietnam.
You miss the old days?
I miss football a great deal, yes I do.
In Vietnam, Gil Brandt sent me some footballs over there, and I used to work out in Da Nang on a soccer field. You know, I had a job there, I had a lot of responsibility, but I worked out when I could and stayed in shape.
Dallas is just pure dumb lucky that Gil Brandt said, well, let's take him and wait for him in the draft, because he could have gone anywhere.
Staubach joined the Cowboys in 1969 and was named starter midway through the 1971 season.
The longest pass play of the year for Roger Staubach, 51 yards.
Staubach led Dallas to 4 Super Bowls, including the franchise's first 2 world titles, squashing the specter of next year's champions.
Roger goes deep across the middle, way downfield, and Butch Johnson caught! Touchdown!
And of course, there were the fourth quarter comebacks.
Captain Comeback led 23 fourth quarter rallies in his career, including 16 in the last 2 minutes or overtime. But the most remarkable was his Hail Mary in the 1975 playoffs.
He's going long. Down the near sideline for Drew Pearson. Pearson makes the catch at the 5. Touchdown!
I believe that Roger was going to win every game that we played in, no matter how much time was left in the ball game. I always believed that Roger could win the game.
42 seconds left in the game. Redskins lead by 6. Staubach throwing in the end zone. Tony Hill!
Captain Comeback was also Roger the Dodger, performing daredevil escapes, beating teams with his arm and legs. Being a dual threat came at a price, but the tough Staubach was always there in a pinch.
Walt Garrison introduced all those to Skoal, chewing tobacco. Now Roger wanted to be one of the guys, so he got a tin of Skoal, and Roger took a giant wad. We all took a little bitty speck and put it in there, and he took his great big wad and put it in there, and then we went to the meeting, and he was going to be one of the guys. Roger is so tough that he sat through the meeting for 45 minutes, and he was chewing this stuff. I mean, he read on there chewing tobacco, and he was chewing it, and he had it all in his mouth, down his throat. And as soon as Coach Landry, said it's time for the break, we heard Roger throwing up going down the hall. And he went in and threw up and washed his mouth out and came back in at the meeting. And I said, man, he's tough.
Staubach was more than a quarterback. He was the embodiment of America's team.
Roger, that he figured out at an early age that he was going to be a saint. I mean, that's really what he is. He's Saint Roger Staubach.
Roger, you have an all-American image. You're kind of a straight guy. Do you enjoy it, or is it a burden?
You interviewed Joe Namath. Everyone in the world compares me to Joe Namath, as far as the idea of off the field. He's single, bachelor swinging, I'm married and family, and, he's having all the fun. And, I enjoy sex as much as Joe Namath. Only I do it with one girl.
To this day, I know of no athlete in America more highly respected from the moment he arrived in his city to this moment today.
And that has put him in a place where I don't think we'll ever see another athlete from here get.
The latest quarterback hoping to follow in Staubach's footsteps is Tony Romo.
Hey, this is what you worked all that time the offseason for right here. We're the Dallas Cowboys. Go out here and prove it today. Cowboys on 3. 1, 2, 3. Cowboys.
Before he was a Cowboy, Romo was the star quarterback at Eastern Illinois University. He was the 2002 NCAA 1AA Player of the Year, but NFL scouts were not impressed.
The thing about Romo, he was invited to the combine as a thrower. He wasn't even brought in as a quarterback prospect. He was brought in to throw to the wide receivers.
Romo went undrafted, and in 2003, the Cowboys signed him as a free agent. He climbed the depth chart to become starter midway through the 2006 season and led Dallas to the playoffs.
Deep, Owens open, caught it, strides in, touchdown!
But the season ended in disaster.
Romo can't get the spot down! This is an unbelievably heartbreaking loss. I've never seen an ending to a game like that.
Romo rebounded in 2007. He shattered Cowboys records for passing yards and touchdowns in a season, en route to his first Pro Bowl.
To go from being a combine thrower to being a Pro Bowl quarterback is a mighty big step.
Romo down the right side into the end zone. Perfect throw. Touchdown.
He's very serious about being great and winning.
Let's go right now.
But his greatest strength is he doesn't take himself as seriously as everybody else does.
I'll give you a kiss if you call X-Fly scene.
He's got a breezy, this isn't everything vibe about him that I think is infectious in times of pressure.
I don't know if you know this, but growing up in Burlington, Wisconsin, I was getting shot at all the time, left and right. I had to come up. God, you're so gullible. Come on, get off.
When Romo was going good, and people say, who does he remind you of? You know, I think a little bit of Meredith.
Hey, by the way, don't think I haven't noticed you watching me when I'm in the shower. All right, Alan? You just need to keep your eyes to yourself. And
Where are you going to stick it? Right in my yin-yang?
I think the coaches get most excited right now when they come by and slap heads. This is their favorite time right here. You got to calm them down once in a while.
He's got that kind of, I'm having fun, I'm out here, and we're just all lucky to be here. Let's go have fun.
Here we go, baby. Captain of the ship. Bring us in, all right?
Yeah. Told you.
Romo's also been known to channel a little Roger the Dodger, too.
High snap over his head. Romo runs it down at the 25 and kicks it. Picks it up and runs left. At the 20, Romo gets away from one man. Left to the 40, to the 50. First down! Out of bounds at the 45.
How long do you think the Cowboys had to work on that play this week?
Scrambles, rushed, avoids a sack, hit, stays on his feet, running up the middle, throws it in the end zone. Touchdown to Patrick Creighton. Tony Romo, that touchdown is all on you.
In 2009, Romo led the Cowboys to the playoffs for the third time in 4 years.
You kidding me? Bam! Woo!
He also helped Dallas end a 13-year stretch in which they didn't win a playoff game, as the Cowboys crushed the Eagles 34-14.
The playoff drought is over. This is not a monkey that the Cowboys have gotten off their back. This is King Flippin' Kong.
But this hero story is still being written.
I think Tony Romo, when all is said and done, will be up there holding the Lombardi Trophy.
Though the path to glory was well worn by past Cowboy champions, quarterback Troy Aikman entered the 1992 NFC title game with a bit of trepidation.
Roger Staubach was there to go out onto the field for the coin toss, as with some other former players. And I remember visiting with Staubach before the game and asking him how he felt. And he said, I'm so nervous, I feel like I need to get my ankles taped, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, good gosh, I mean, if he's not even playing, I mean, how am I supposed to feel right now?
A starter in his rookie season, Aikman wasn't scared by much.
I think I sensed the specialness of Aikman right away when he wore Clyde Simmons and Reggie White one afternoon.
My first year there in 1990, we played the Eagles at home. They sacked Troy 11 times.
Blasted from behind. Oh, merciful heaven. Setting up, and he sucked the goal. They've got him.
It wasn't just, pulling the guy down. It was Jerome, and it was Reggie, and it was Seth, and it was Clyde, and it was one right after another, and they were big-time hits.
He put them on at noon, and he took them off about 3:15. They just beat the living hell out of him.
Blasted from behind. Oh, merciful heaven.
And he just took it. He took it.
But every time he got up and walked back to the huddle, the guys on the field and the people on the bench on both sides knew that this guy was tough.
A lot of people would look at you and look at your career and say, well, geez, here's a guy that came in, was a leader, confident right from the start. But was there ever a point when you said, I don't know whether I'm going to cut it here?
I never went through a period of saying, boy, I just don't think I can play at this level. I went through periods of saying, I just don't know how long it's going to take before I can play at the level that I know I'm capable of. I thought it could take me, 6 years before I ever even got comfortable with things, but I never doubted that at some point it would happen.
Aikman figured it out, passing for career highs in touchdowns, yardage, and completions in 1992.
What a play.
Crowd is really into it. Aikman, a straight drop, good protection. Over the middle. It's caught by Kelvin Martin at the 2. Touchdown! Touchdown, Cowboys!
This team's going to Pasadena.
NFC champions, folks.
From 1-15 in '89 to the Super Bowl 4 years. That's unbelievable. An unbelievable story.
The aerial assault continued in Pasadena, where Dallas quickly attacked the Buffalo Bills and won their first world championship in 15 years. Aikman was named Super Bowl MVP, capping an amazing turnaround.
4 years earlier, we were the worst team in football. 4 years later, we're winning the world championship and we're on top of the world in pro football. It was a great time for all of us.
Aikman would lead the Cowboys to the summit 2 more times in Super Bowls 28 and 30, establishing him as one of the NFL's greats. But it was more than championships that paved his road to Canton.
He's the most accurate thrower I think that's ever played the position. When he was right, when he was hot, he was as good as I've ever seen. He was the catalyst. He was the leader, no question about it.
I think there was fire. I think there's fire in his eyes and there was fire in his heart. He wanted to win games, and he knew what he had to do to win games.
That sentiment was also shared by his teammates.
This man right here was our leader. There was no doubt, no wavering whatsoever. And we took pride in protecting our leader. And we fought for our leader.
There was never and never will be a time that anybody went against our quarterback. We kept that in order. And that's exactly what it is. It's order. He's a no-nonsense type of guy. There's no room for error.
Damn it!
And we needed our leader to be that way.
I think the beauty of Troy's leadership and his focus is best shown by the fact that when people talk about Troy now, they'll say, I never thought he'd be good on TV. That's because we never saw the Troy that's on TV. We saw game-faced Troy. It would go on the 23rd of July. It would come off the 5th of February.
The triplets wouldn't be the triplets if it wasn't for Troy, because he's the one guy who kind of stepped back and let numbers go by the wayside to win championships.
When Troy Aikman retired, he could only think of one name to thank first, a teammate that had truly brought out the best in him.
I think of Michael Irvin.
The only way we're going to get what we want to get is everybody be held accountable. Get your damn job done today. Run all damn day. We better run all day.
I've never been around a more unselfish player than Michael Irvin. he gave it everything he had, and he's the reason we had success.
Michael Irvin was the first of the triplets to arrive in Dallas. Once Aikman was drafted one season later, the two formed a close bond that would spark a dynasty.
Troy was demanding as a quarterback of this team. He knew what it would take to be a champion. And when I saw he and Michael Irvin becoming such close friends, I understood more about what Michael Irvin was about, because I knew you don't get that close to Troy. You don't get his respect unless you've gone out there and earned it.
Throwing for Irvin, left corner of the end zone. He caught it for a touchdown. It's an unbelievable catch.
You could blindfold Troy Aikman and blindfold Michael Irvin and say run a 5 route, and I guarantee you they would complete 5 out of 10 of them. Blindfold. Just because he was always in the same spot and the ball came out at the exact same time.
It couldn't have been thrown any better.
In Super Bowl 27, there was no question whom Aikman was targeting. Irvin proved to America why he called himself the playmaker, catching 2 touchdown passes in 18 seconds, the fastest pair of touchdowns ever scored by a single player in Super Bowl history. But Irvin only landed there because of hard work.
Rarely have you ever seen a player willing to work as hard as Michael Irvin has.
Early on in my career, I relied on my talent all the time. And then Michael actually showed me how to work, got me in the weight room, showed me how to work. I learned those things from this man right here.
Irvin learned what it took here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
This is my neighborhood. I grew up in here. There's the house I grew up in right there. You're right here. All of us crowded up in here. When I brought my boys here, they said, Dad, you didn't grow up here. That's the house my dad built.
His path, rough and uneven, Irvin still went on to star at the University of Miami before the Cowboys selected him in 1988. But that doesn't mean he ever took the NFL for granted. Not for one play.
Every 3rd down and 7, and we're running that slant, I would break that huddle, and I would say, Michael, you run that slant, or you go back to the ghetto.
Because that was his ticket out. It wasn't nothing else. I mean, Mike is not a doctor or a lawyer or orthopedic surgeon. This was his ticket, man.
Irvin made the most of his big break.
He stands, he throws it right. Irvin crossing pattern. Michael, 45-40, 30 to the 20. A man to beat. Woodson will get him at the 10. Irvin breaks free. Michael Irvin scores. Touchdown, Cowboys.
Showtime.
You know, Michael's cut from a different cloth.
Come on, let's go.
From an outsider looking in, he appears arrogant. The first down signals and the hands up, a guy that you think would have himself ahead of the team. And he couldn't be further from the truth. He was the guy that could light the spark.
He was a guy who said, look, I know I'm great. I'm going to tell you I'm great. I'm going to tell you beforehand I'm going to kick your ass. Then I'm going to kick your ass. And then afterward, I'm going to remind you very loudly about how I just kicked your ass.
But for all the playmaker's flamboyance, he was humbled in his finest hour.
The jacket looks good.
It fits good. I played with some of the best to ever be around this game. For example, Emmitt Smith. And the third member of the triplets is Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman led us to 3 Super Bowls. When I say led, I mean led. These men, they inspired me to become the player that I became.
I slept pretty good last night. I got up early this morning. I was up probably around 6, a little bit before 6.
It's a cloudy 67-degree day at Texas Stadium.
My guess is Emmitt Smith will be more nervous today than he was when he took his first carry in 1990. You're going to see some second and third effort, I think, out of him today. He desperately wants this record down.
It's not just any other Sunday.
Football began for me and my brothers on Sundays after church. My first year playing organized football was with the Salvation Army. I wore number 12 because I thought I was Roger Staubach.
In 1990, the final member of the triplets arrived in Dallas.
I think it's pretty remarkable that in 3 consecutive drafts, the Cowboys took a wide receiver better than Drew Pearson, a quarterback better than Roger Staubach, and a running back better than Tony Dorsett.
Let the mind control the body, not the body controlling the mind. Right, Emmett?
Exactly. That's it.
Emmitt Smith's body was hard for the NFL to get a hold of, and they often watched it run through them, twist over them, and gallop past them.
And Aikman runs a draw. Emmitt Smith up the middle, 25, comes right to the 20. A block from Martin to the 10. Smith, touchdown, Cowboys. Aikman handoff, Smith coming right.
I remember one play, he had an incredible run, and it was just so like you, Emmett. Bounced off this guy.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And I ran over, I said, God, man, you know, I wanted to share with you, that was the greatest run I've ever seen. Oh, way to go, way to go. And you just turned to me like, how'd you see that? You should have been blocking somebody.
A 1993 game in the Meadowlands was the finest moment in Smith's finest season.
Aikman back to throw, over the middle, caught. It's a touchdown to Emmitt Smith. He threaded the needle with the pass at the goal line. Third down and a long 2, and Aikman with a draw to Smith, coming right first down, 25 to 30, a lot of room at the 40, chased at the 40 of the Giants, and hauled down at the 35. And Smith is down. Emmitt Smith is down at the Giants' 30.
In the midst of the tackle, I fall and my elbow hits the turf, and it pops up, and instant pain. I know I heard it, didn't know how bad. And every time I got hit, you can hear that in my chest. That's what it sounded like. I'm sitting out on the football field, I'm in the hole saying to myself, no pain, no pain. I'm just talking about something, no pain. And tears are rolling out my eyes. I'm just trying to convince myself there's no pain, but I'm feeling all the pain.
Smith capped an amazing year with 132 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl 28, earning him the MVP award.
They just keep feeding the ball into the stomach of Emmitt Smith.
We've seen this the last 3 or 4 years. Smith for 9, Smith for 3, Smith for 8, Smith for 7.
It's not real flashy, it's not real pretty, but it's real good.
Big play. Aikman draw to Smith. Tackle the breakaway to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Emmitt Smith. Oh, what a run by the league's MVP.
Shouldn't have even been a first down, Brad. He was hit in the backfield. He was going to go down. Most backs, almost all backs would have gone down, but he shakes a tackle, moves back inside, outruns everybody else, and the Cowboys have the lead. Emmitt Smith takes it home, and the Cowboys have turned this game dramatically.
2 in a row, baby. 2 in a row. How sweet it is.
9 seasons later, Smith was at ease as he stood on the precipice of breaking Walter Payton's NFL record for career rushing yards.
Good morning, gentlemen. The same old me, baby.
The Dallas faithful were ready to witness history, and Smith was ready to deliver it.
Emmitt Smith has eclipsed Walter Payton as the NFL's all-time rushing leader.
was my roommate, and I remember him talking about becoming the all-time leading rusher when he was a rookie. I thought he was crazy, and hopefully he didn't share that with anybody else, but he had talked about these things. So for me to stand on that sideline when he broke that record, that was incredible for me.
Congratulations, man. Thank you, man. I love you, man. Thank you. You deserve it, buddy.
After his retirement, Smith was inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor with the other triplets. 5 years later, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
They took great pride when Jerry put them in the Ring of Honor as the triplets. The fact they were going in together, because none of them ever looked at one of them being more important than the other.
That was a magical time for the Dallas Cowboys.
I get to walk away saying there's no way I can write my story without these two guys. No way they can write their story without me. And for me, that's everything. It's played significant roles in my life, and I absolutely love that. I love it when I come in this stadium and see our names back there together. We will forever be known as the triplets.
Linebacker Chuck Howley was a first-round draft pick by Chicago in 1958. After injuring his knee, the Bears traded Howley's rights to Dallas, where he became a force in the Doomsday defense.
Chuck Howley was probably one of, if not the best athlete on the Cowboy team. I mean, he lettered in 5 sports in college, including gymnastics. He was one of those guys, they just had a nose for the ball. They just knew where the ball was going for some uncanny reason. Very fast guy, very physical, very strong, very agile.
Howley's best performances came on the biggest stage. In the Cowboys' first ever Super Bowl appearance, Howley led the Dallas defense with a pair of interceptions.
Hey, safety don't blitz work like a charge. Way to hustle like a big man. Way to hustle.
The Doomsday effort wasn't enough, as the Cowboys lost 16-13. Despite losing, Howley was named the game's MVP. He remains the only player in Super Bowl history to win the award on the losing team.
I think it was disheartening, especially on my part, being MVP of that particular ball game. We'd rather had the victory. I would rather had the victory, but I guess if there's any satisfaction out of it, I was able to, move out with the MVP award.
A year later in Super Bowl VI, Howley was sensational once again, helping the Cowboys to their first world title.
And Greasy back to throw again. There's a pass intercepted by Howley down to 40. Howley down to the 35. Howley down to the 20. Chuck falls down at the 10-yard line.
Chuck had a great game. He had a kind of game that if they didn't choose Roger, they could have easily chosen Chuck Howley to be MVP again. Second year in a row.
I think everybody respected Chuck for what he did on the field. And Chuck was a great guy.
With 5 straight All-Pro seasons, Howley was one of the most decorated linebackers of his era, yet he remains out of the Hall of Fame. After winning the Super Bowl in 1971, the Cowboys returned in 1975, but failed to beat the Steelers.
In '76, we had the same group, and we struggled in the playoff game against the Rams because our offense was lacking a breakaway threat.
So Dallas traded up in the 1977 draft to take Heisman Trophy winning running back Tony Dorsett.
We had this puzzle, and the puzzle doesn't work unless, every piece plays a role in the puzzle, and we were missing one piece, and that was Tony Dorsett.
Roger hands it off to Dorsett into the secondary to the 30, 35, to the 40, cuts right, watch out! To the 50, the 40, he's to the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5, Tony Dorsett, touchdown!
He had blazing speed. He could start from a stop and go full speed after the second step, which is incredible. He had that vision, great vision, and he could also see into the future. Although the play wasn't designed to have a hole over there, he knew that it was going to be on the other side of the field.
Dorsett helped Dallas to its 4th Super Bowl berth and 2nd World Championship.
Staubach has it, hands it off to Dorsett, drives, touchdown!
As time has expired, and the Dallas Cowboys are the champions of the National Football League.
They get him in 77, automatically they're Super Bowl champions, and they're a play or two away from going back-to-back against the Steelers in Super Bowl 13.
The victory in Super Bowl 12 sparked what would become an electrifying career for Dorsett.
I'm a runner that you, your grandmother, or someone else could probably enjoy watching because it's something exciting that's possible to happen at any time on the field. I get a ball in my eyes, they like
into the Hall of Fame. A lesser heralded Cowboys hero, lost in the lore of the triplets, was tight end Jay Novacek. Novacek was a former decathlete whose specialty was the pole vault and the hurdles.
Jay Novacek hurdles a player at the 15 and goes 33 yards for the touchdown.
He was the quiet cog in the Cowboys' offensive machine, equally effective as a blocker and pass catcher.
He was one of those guys that just comes along once during a career. Whatever I was thinking, he seemed to be thinking the same stuff. And so, with that, we were able to develop a tremendous amount of timing that made it nearly impossible for defenders to be able to stop.
Novacek's silent but deadly style proved effective in Super Bowls, like scoring the Cowboys' first touchdown in Super Bowl 27, helping to jumpstart a sputtering Dallas offense. He delivered again in Super Bowl 30.
Aikman to pass on 1st and goal from the 3, wide open, Jay Novacek, touchdown!
Jay Novacek hesitated like he was blocking, sneaks out, nobody picks him up. He was wide open, just an easy little toss for Aikman.
But lingering back pain ended Novacek's career early. He retired after 5 straight Pro Bowls and was sorely missed in Dallas.
Jay Novacek is, in my opinion, the most underappreciated player that I have ever played with for what he's done. If Jay Novacek is not inducted in the Hall of Fame, to me it'll be a crime. And in my opinion, our offensive struggles began when Jay Novacek was no longer on our football team.
Super Bowl 30 was the last game he ever played, a fitting finish for a career that will forever be linked to the Cowboys' dynasty days. When Jimmy Johnson joined the NFL in 1989, his mission was clear.
Jimmy, early on, when he got to the Cowboys, basically made it his entire existence to win games with the Dallas Cowboys.
But he inherited a team with little talent.
He went 1-15 in his first year with the Cowboys. Jimmy was so distraught right after the last game, which was on Christmas Eve. He went to the airport and said, I just need to go someplace where it's warm. He didn't care what day it was. He just had to get as far away from it as he could.
Let the mind control the body, not the body controlling the mind.
Under Jimmy's control, the Cowboys became believers.
Super job, because you could have gotten down, when they got on top of you, and you could have said, oh, here it goes again. But those days are over with.
Jimmy helped rebuild the Cowboys with shrewd drafting and trading. Going into the 1991 season, the Cowboys were confident and ready to dominate the decade.
If you went through the year virtually injury-free and did not make the playoffs, would that be a crushing blow?
It won't happen. We'll be in the playoffs.
We're saying that, Cowboys! We're here, baby! We're here!
He lived up to his word. The Cowboys made the playoffs and beat the Bears 17-13 in Chicago.
When you ever go after a big gorilla, you don't ever hit him lightly. You hit him with everything you got.
In 1992, the Cowboys upended the NFL. They cruised to a 13-3 record en route to Super Bowl 27, where they crushed the Bills 52-17.
What a ride it's been. Jimmy Johnson's taken his team from the absolute worst to the absolute best.
Like clockwork, the Cowboys made the playoffs in 1993. But a local radio station doubted Dallas in the upcoming NFC Championship against the 49ers.
Jimmy then called the radio station and guaranteed that we were going to have a win and that you could put it
in 3-inch headlines. We will win the ball game.
It was in 3-inch headlines in the Dallas Morning News the next morning. Everybody thought Jimmy was being so bold at the time that he made the prediction, which is partly accurate, but I think the other, Jimmy had a few Heinekens that night, and I think, he let his heart do his talking for him. I'm thinking, what in the world has he done? I mean, you can't do that. I wasn't one of these guys saying, yeah, coach believes in us. No one was.
You're gonna talk the talk. You gotta walk the walk.
The success against San Francisco carried into Super Bowl 28. Dallas beat the Bills 30-13 for a second straight Super Bowl title.
I don't know that anybody ever can understand the total ecstasy of standing on the sideline and being the best. I mean, that was such a fantastic feeling, and you don't ever achieve it in any other field.
Everybody, you did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
In Minnesota, the Vikings thought they were sitting pretty with a late 4-point lead over Tom Landry's club.
I called the play that he went out of bounds on. I said, Drew, run like you're going in the middle of the field and break back to the corner. We didn't even have the play. I said, everybody else just, do what you need to do. And so then I said, what can you do on the next, I said, can you go deep? And he said, I'm too tired. So I called a pass to Preston Pearson, and he dropped the ball. And thankfully, if he catches the ball, we don't have any timeouts, and we would have got maybe one play off. We would have rushed up there to get it off. So he drops the ball, and I said, Drew, are you okay now? He said, yeah, I think I can go deep now.
Roger Staubach hit Drew Pearson on 4th and 16 to extend the drive, but had more heroics in store 2 plays later.
And then we came back, and I said, Drew, can you run an in route like you did to beat Washington, which was actually in 1974? And then break it deep. And he said, yeah. He said, I'll run an in route, which is our favorite route, which is a deep, what we call a 16 route. And I said, act like you're running an in route. Just don't try to run by him. And I just told everybody else, don't worry about it. I'm going to throw it to Drew.
With 24 seconds left, Staubach and Pearson made a heavenly connection.
Well, the Cowboys need a miracle. Roger takes the snap, pumps it once. He's going long. Down the near sideline for Drew Pearson. Pearson makes the catch at the 5. Touchdown! Staubach hit Pearson on a 50-yard touchdown. Would you believe it?
What happened on that Hail Mary play, I think the blessing to the whole play was that Staubach underthrew me on the play.
I pumped to the left to keep Kraus. Kraus really could have made the play if I hadn't pumped to the left. And that really held him up for a second, and then Drew got outside to right, and the ball was underthrown. By me pumping, Drew really got down the field a little bit too far.
So we were running downfield, and I looked back, and I saw that the ball was underthrown, and I was able to put on the brakes and come back. Nate fell down, and I thought I had dropped the ball. It hit my hands, and I thought I had dropped it, and I was bent over, and it was stuck between my elbow and my hip. And I couldn't believe when I had the ball, and the fans in Minnesota, of course, couldn't believe it either.
It was a weird moment, and I think that particular play was the biggest single play that I've ever been a part of. That changed a whole season, and it got us back to a Super Bowl when we needed to get back in 1975 on our comeback for the late 70s for the Cowboys. And I, in the locker room, they said, what did you do? And I said, well, I just, threw the pass to Drew. I said, well, I just closed my eyes and said a Hail Mary. And that tag has been used, and some people have attributed that to the statement I made in that game.
5 years later, the Cowboys were back in the playoffs. A cold reception awaited them in Atlanta.
The one thing I remember about that game was it was as cold as I think I'd ever been.
It was a very upbeat type atmosphere, a lot of hoopla going on, a lot of press, a lot of media coverage and all that kind of stuff. So we knew we were going into a very difficult situation.
But with longtime backup Danny White now the starter, no one expected him to be the hero.
My feeling going into the year was, hey, just focus on being the quarterback and don't worry about anybody else, and everything will be fine. And that's really what ended up happening.
Instead, White had a terrible first half. Those doubting he could fill Roger Staubach's shoes had cause to worry.
There's no question that there were a lot of people that would never buy into the fact that somebody else could lead the Dallas Cowboys besides Roger Staubach. And that's a tribute to Roger.
We knew he was prepared, and I think that was a big reason why Roger decided to retire. So it's not a situation where he had to carry the team or the offense on his shoulders. It was a situation where he just had to fit in and drive the engine, or turn the engine on and drive the car.
Despite the second half faring little better, White was confident he could lead the Cowboys back from a 14-point deficit.
I knew there were going to be some that would never be on my side, no matter what I did. I had no problem with that.
With 3:38 left in the third quarter, White got the Cowboys rolling. An 85-yard drive ended with Robert Newhouse's 1-yard touchdown run. After Falcons' field goal, White struck again.
And there was nothing out there but just time. It seemed like it was forever.
The deficit now only 4. Drew Pearson smelled a comeback.
Well, you know, I don't remember what plays that were actually called, but I do remember the coming together of the team, and we really felt now we had a chance to win this game.
With little time left, White and the Dallas offense stood 70 yards away from the lead. But White made more than a few say, "Roger who?" as he led the Cowboys down the field to victory.
You know, I don't know how you explain certain guys just being in the right place at the right time, but this was another one of those times. It was 88.
When I look back, Danny had already released the ball, and it wasn't in his hands, and I had to find it.
Pearson had yet another miraculous touchdown catch in the playoffs. And White, at long last, was the hero.
It all gets overlooked too often, you know, in the game of football. And there were a million little things that had to go just right for that whole sequence to take place the way that it did.
Super Bowl 27 featured a lot of offensive firepower, but one of its biggest heroes came from the other side of the ball.
Let's go, D, let's go! We're gonna kill him, we're gonna kill him!
Early in the second quarter, the Bills were driving.
Fullback! Watch the fullback! Right there! Wrap him up! Dave, it's gonna be on the 2-yard line. You wanna go giant? Giant! Giant! Giant!
And number 37, King Washington.
Thurman Thomas tried for a game-tying touchdown, but the Cowboys' defense would not be moved. The urgency only grew on the Dallas sideline as they hoped for a hero to emerge and deny the Bills on third down.
Here's third down and goal, less than a yard. Out of the eye, McKellar's tight end motion right. And the handoff to the deep man and a bang at the goal line.
Oh, stop it! Get it!
Pushed back. He was pushed back. He didn't get in.
Kenny Norton, Brad. Kenny Norton makes a huge hit. He makes the play. He started this game by saying that Ken Norton would have to have his name called a lot if the Cowboys are going to be successful, and it's Norton who makes the play.
The son of a former heavyweight champion boxer, Ken Norton Jr. had just hit Buffalo square in the teeth. But Dallas still needed a knockout punch. Many say that the Bills lost the Super Bowl on that goal line stand. What the Cowboys won started a dynasty.
The Cowboys are back on top of the mountain now. They were there in the 70s, fell off in the 80s. They're back on top now, and they should stay there a while.
Wow. What a ride it's been.
That parade, I don't think I've ever been a part of anything like that before. Confetti was all over the place. We had our jerseys on, and there were people everywhere. On the tallest buildings in Dallas, way up high, we could barely see them. They were waving and screaming, "Hey, Kenny!" That parade was just special.
The teams that make history are anything but common. With the precision and attention to detail that is needed, there's little wonder why the Dallas Cowboys have become legend. Not the kind of legend you read about in books or simply see in an old film clip on TV. They're the kind of legends your elders tell you about. Behind each star, there is a man, a hero who represented not only himself, but the other men in silver and blue. Behind every play, there is a moment that we recall fondly and forever. With every recollection, the image gets more vivid, and the miracles, once again, become real.
Pearson makes the catch at the 5, touchdown!
We're right on money. Let's go. Down day. All down day.
Aikman handoff, Smith coming right. Trying to outrun the coverage, makes a cut. Gets it. Oh, he's still going. Oh, look at that. He's going to score. He's got the 5. It's a touchdown.
From generation to generation, the star remains the same. But heroism is unique to the man and the moment. Every player in this film has found a way to carve himself into the lore of one of the most storied teams in professional sports. The star only means something to us now because of the Cowboys that have worn it. With every win, these heroes uphold the standard of America's team. With every hero, that star shines a little bit brighter.